Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Hope you're all well. Tonight's video I'm going to be talking about the NRL head coaches with the most pressure going into the 2021 season. Before I do that, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. If you're liking the videos, if you're liking what I'm doing, make sure you subscribe by clicking that subscribe button. Thanks to everyone that's joined recently, and thanks to everyone that's been supporting me from the very beginning. It's very much appreciated. Now there's a few coaches going into that 2021 season who I believe are under the most pressure to keep their job or to perform as a head coach. So I've named out 5 or 6 head coaches I'm going to talk about. The first one is Trent Barrett. Now I know he's going to be starting his first year at Canterbury-Bankstown this year. His last coaching role as a head coach was the disaster case, which was Manly. He nearly got him a wooden spoon in 2018. He's been appointed head coach at Canterbury now. Before the ball's even been kicked, he's going to be under pressure. I think the fans and I think certain people surrounding the club will expect there to be a big change in Canterbury and how they play, because the last couple of years they've been dull, and I think Trent Barrett's going to be under a lot of pressure to ensure that Canterbury play with a more attacking style of football, a more exciting side of football. There'll also be some pressure on him to try to get Canterbury further up the table. Now, I don't think that they probably will make the finals in 2021. I think they might finish about 10th or 11th, but there'll be that expectation for them to improve. And they've made some signings, they've opened up the war chest, and I think Trent Barrett will be under pressure this year to at least show that he's the right man for the job. And in 2022, when they get a couple of other players on board, there'll be no excuses. They'll have to meet the finals with the squad that they'll have in 2022. The next coach is another new coach, and that's Anthony Griffin at St George. He was appointed after Paul McGregor was terminated last year. So with Anthony Griffin coming into the hot seat now, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to once again try to turn St George into a force and try to get them to play a bit more exciting, to defend better. Last year, although they did try in some games, in other games they were a bit of a shambles. And I think also, on top of all that, Anthony Griffin's under pressure to try to get everyone in the dressing room on side, the culture of the club back together. He's also got a bit of pressure. A lot of people are predicting St George to come last this year. Now, St George haven't come last since 1938, so Anthony Griffin does not want to be the first head coach to guide St George to a wooden spoon in nearly 100 years. He's also got some pressure to try to get St George further up the table as well and away from that wooden spoon zone. So it's going to be interesting to see how Anthony Griffin's going to go this year. He's got a lot of experience. He's been an experienced head coach in the NRL before. I think he's done okay. He's got a few admirers, so time will tell, but I think he's under a bit of pressure. The next coach is Justin Holbrook of the Gold Coast. Now, when he came into the job last year, there was already a lot of pressure on him, because I remember the Gold Coast CEO said that if we don't get this next coaching appointment right, that it could be the end of the Gold Coast as a club as we know it, because they've had a few disasters before that. But Justin Holbrook, it kind of turned out at the start that maybe there were going to be another wooden spoon side, but as the season slowly got on and on, he kind of turned them into a competitive team. And even though I'm a bit of a critic about that, they did win their last 5 games in a row, but 4 of them were against teams that were outside the top 8. This year, with a lot of spending, they've opened up the war chest just like Canterbury. They've done a lot of spending, they've recruited some big names, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on Justin Holbrook to take this team that's been down towards the bottom of the table for many years, or just outside the top 8, into a top 8 team. And I think if the Gold Coast fail to make the finals this year, considering all the hype behind them and all the money they've spent and all the players they've brought in, I think Justin Holbrook's position will be coming under question. The next coach is Adam O'Brien from Newcastle. So last year he did what any Newcastle head coach failed to do since 2013. He guided Newcastle to the finals. They've been a bit indifferent last year, and he got into the finals, but in the first week they were easily beaten by South Sydney. Coming into 2021, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Adam O'Brien to once again get Newcastle into the finals. The club finally has a roster and a bunch of players that I think the Newcastle fans and everybody wants, and I think once again Adam O'Brien's going to be under pressure to get Newcastle in the finals and possibly even higher than what they finished last year. I think if Adam O'Brien fails to guide Newcastle to the finals this year, just like Justin Holbrook, his job might be coming into question. So there's a lot of pressure on Adam O'Brien to get Newcastle firing in 2021. The next coach I'm going to mention is Brad Arthur. He's been the head coach of Parramatta since 2014. He's been through thick and thin with the club. He turned the club from a team that was wooden spooners into a club that nearly made the finals in his first year. Then they had the salary cap thing. He stood through that. Then top 4 finished and wooden spoon, and then a 5th place finished. In the last 4 years, he's guided the club to 3 finals series, but with only the 1 finals win in 2019 over Brisbane. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Brad Arthur again this year to not only make the finals, but to go further in the finals than what Parramatta has done in the last 10 to 15 years. I think if Parramatta have another year where they make the finals and then they're bundled out in the first week or they're losing straight sets, Brad Arthur's job's going to come into question, because how longer can this go on where you have a head coach that just keeps getting the same results, but there seems to be no improvement. He's coming into, I think it's his 8th year as head coach of Parramatta, and the club hasn't made a grand final or a preliminary final, and there was that wooden spoon in 2018. So I think if Parramatta have another year like they did in the last couple of years, Brad Arthur's job could be on the line. And lastly, I think the coach that's under the most pressure going into 2021 is Michael Maguire. Now, to be fair, when he come into the West, he inherited a basket case, partly due to Ivan Cleary, but also due to Jason Taylor. Also, there was some problems behind the scene. The West Tigers, I think they've got a very poor culture. Have you noticed that so many players want to leave or they want to get out of there? In his first year, I wasn't really expecting West Tigers to make the finals, but they come ninth for the 6th time since 2000. Coming in the last year, I think a lot more was expected of West, and once again, they didn't make the finals. They were well off the pace. In some games they were there, and some games, especially against the top teams, they weren't even in contention. Going into this year, a lot of people have said that West are going to come last. I'm not too sure about that, but I think with Michael Maguire, he's over the last couple of years, he's kind of said, I'm still building the roster that I want. I'm still getting the players that I want. And he's signed a couple more players this year. But I think once again, if West Tigers fail to meet the finals this year, I think this could potentially be the last year at West for Michael Maguire. I mean, this is going to be his 3rd year as head coach there. And if they miss the finals, I think West Tigers, the board will be looking for another coach. Anyways, everyone, that's me video about the NRL head coaches and who I think's under the most pressure going into the 2021 season. If you agree with me, give it a thumbs up or comment in the section below who you think is the most under pressure coach or coaches. And once again, if you have not yet subscribed and you've been watching a couple of videos and you like what I do, then please consider subscribing to the channel and go check me out on Instagram and Facebook. I run the Rugby League History pages there. Anyways, this is Rugby League History signing off, and I'll catch you all later in the next video. Alright, tatty bye now.